Gotham and Merry Christmas. I hope you're watching Batman. This one's for you.
Control initiated. Parade override engaged.
What the hell was that?
Hey kids, Santa Flash is back.
Bruce, you didn't get him a gift certificate.
No. Cash.
Yeah, can I help you?
Yes, we're looking for the legendary Kevin Bacon.
We're looking for the legendary Kevin Bacon.
Just said that, Drax.
Jill, there's just no way to explain the devastation right now, as the Life Day Parade turned Christmas Parade turned massacre unfolds before us. Both Life Day and Christmas have been ruined forever by...
Data. Hologram. Now. Welcome to another episode of Batman's Discussions. And we continue. Rhyme at Christmas time. And yes, I know Zack Snyder gave some great news about Cell today. And we will talk about that after we review this Christmas classic that WB released in April for some reason. Don't know about that, but yes, we will be talking about Shazam today, and I got not one, but two very special guests, one of whom prepared something very special for this stream. So before I bring them on, let's see who we got in the chat. We got Qatar, Sin Havoc. What up, Linda? Oh yeah, Sin Havoc, aka Zack Snyder. That's my theory. And let's see, what up, Sean Franklin? W. Mir, welcome to the channel. And I think that's everyone. Yes, it is Zack Snyder, best news of the week. So one of them prepared something very special that I can't wait to share with everyone. But I've had him on the show many times. Please welcome ZodWriter.
Hey, I wouldn't miss this for the world. Oh, it's great to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. And we also have another very special guest who, like both of us, is from the Chicago area, but unlike us, actually resides in the city of himself, the city itself. And this guy, he loves musicals. He loves musicals. He loves to sing about musicals. I see him rolling his eyes backstage. Please welcome as I bring on Sox Bulletin.
That's what I want to do. Every time you sing that crap, I just want to do that.
First time on the channel for a DC topic. How are you feeling tonight?
Let's just get on with the show, and I can rip this thing into a new a-hole.
Okay, so ZodWriter, you had something special for the stream. Did you want to show it now to introduce the topic, or should we bring it on later?
Yeah, let me do that. Hold on. Let me share my screen here.
That's the technical side of these streams.
Yeah, we could do that, definitely. Here it is.
But it's okay. It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait for this great thing. It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. Oh, yes, it is.
I hope you have coal in your stocking, sir.
Well, let me pull the guy who really deserves to have coal in his stocking.
Oh, I'm so lonely. Nobody wants to hire me, not even my buddy Jim. Peter really screwed me. That ski trip was supposed to secure my role in Superman Legacy. Anyway, thanks for tuning to Bat Dan's Discussions. This guy, Socks and ZodWriter, are shitting on my Orange Tights movie. I guess I kind of deserve it. I did unfortunately play the guy like a douchebag.
Yes, you did, Zachery Levi. Yes, you did. What up, South Cali guy? So yes, we will be talking about Shazam, which a lot of people may not remember is actually, in fact, a Christmas movie, as it aired during Christmas time and has Christmas decorations in the background. Even if WB forgot by airing it in April, but before we get into the movie, Zachery Levi made the news this week, and we got to talk about that. So, for those of you who don't know, Zachery Levi made a comment about Sean Gunn's new role as Maxwell Lord. Sean Gunn, for those of you who don't know, the brother of one of the co-heads of DC Studios, James Gunn. And Zachery Levi said something like, when you're the brother of the head of DC, you can play any role you want. I guess his ski trip with Peter Safran, the other co-head of DC, didn't quite pay off like he planned. I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on this? We'll start with Socks.
It's just his way of trying to kiss his ass because he wants to be a part of something that he shouldn't be in at all.
Yep, he should not. His last movie flopped, and I'm sure we'll talk about that movie later on, but even this movie, let's be honest, wasn't that great. ZodWriter, what are your thoughts on Zachery Levi's recent comments?
Well, I think that he is a crybaby, and his constantly kissing up to the higher ups of DC is bad for his career, and it's a bad look, and it's not going to get him anywhere. And I think maybe he needed at least 3 or 4 more ski trips with Safran to at least, cement the deal, cement that friendship. Like Sin Havoc is saying over here, flop after flop after flop. That's what we're dealing with. So, yeah.
Exactly. I guess my biggest issue I had with Zachery Levi's comments is that he was sucking up himself. Is that he went, for those of you who don't know, he went on a ski trip with Peter Safran sometime after he was promoted as co-head of DC. And not only that, there was a picture from that ski trip where Zachery Levi had a Peacemaker snowboard, James Gunn's Peacemaker, to be specific. So this guy has kissed ass to both DC co-heads, not concerned about getting in on his own merits at all. And here he is making some snotty remark about Sean Gunn as co-head of DC.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. If he's jealous of Sean Gunn, then he's not in good with the group like he made it seem like he was. Because wasn't he the one that was saying that James Gunn told him that Shazam was going to be a part of the new DCU? That's the thing that I wonder about, because it's like he thought he was in regardless, and then he cried like a kid and begged like a dog when his movie, to try and get everybody to go see the sequel. But that's a story for another time. All I'm saying is, all he does is cry, all he does is whine, and that's not the way to get ahead. You have to produce. Your movie has to be a success. And when you have 2 movies that you headline that don't do very well as a certain character, there's something to be said about that. It's like we were saying about Brie Larson when we talked about the Marvels. She's not very likable. If you have a likable person in that role, your movie might make money. If there was somebody better suited for that role, I think the Marvels might have been a better film. It's the same with Shazam. I don't have anything personal against the character. I grew up reading Shazam comics, but Zachery Levi is miscast. And it's very clear that he doesn't know how to act.
Yeah,
so
exactly. He went on so far to say that after Henry Cavill got fired, that Snyder's films didn't materialize, despite them doing well in the box office. That's what he said. And when his film doesn't do well, instead of just accepting that his film maybe just didn't materialize, he makes these excuses, he begs people to see his movie, and here he is now, probably upset that he didn't get a role in DC, complaining about nepotism when he himself was kissing ass. So
right, it's the biggest hypocritical move. And I thought all those gun runner scumbags were all close together. They were a tight-knit group, right? I thought they were like this awesome unit. Yeah, Levi is out in the cold. Best wishes in your future endeavors. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. He didn't deliver, and nobody cared about his movies. Hence, we're here today to talk about this Christmas classic that was released in April that makes no sense, and he should not have been in that role. And hopefully, Batman, you'll have a subtopic a little later where we can talk about who should have been cast in that role.
You know what? We'll do something like that, actually. We will. There is actually a way that we'll do that. So, Sox, do you have anything to wrap up this topic right here? Or subtopic, I should say?
I was just thinking a little while ago, because Zod brought it up, and it makes perfect sense to me since Zod brought it up, is that both Captain Marvels, let's be real, Shazam is technically Captain Marvel for the DCU, and got Captain Marvel for the MCU. Both versions of Captain Marvel from two different companies both suck. They both completely suck. That's sad, but it's true.
That name is forever sullied.
Yeah.
The comics deserve better on both sides.
They do, and maybe, you know what? Actually, I'll give a hint about how this Shazam topic's going to come up. Maybe if Netflix continues a certain franchise, maybe there's a chance for some redemption for Shazam. That's how we'll do it. So,
you mean like Zachery Levi going over to Zack Snyder's house, getting on his knees, grabbing him or Deborah's leg, and begging like a dog for a chance to be redeemed in the SnyderVerse. Good luck with that, Levi. Good luck with that, buddy.
Oh, I'm sure he would try to do that, but that's not quite what I had in mind. Definite. But we will definitely get into those topics. So now I want to get into this. A Christmas movie in April. I'm sure that there was some intention to release this movie during Christmas time, but it just felt very weird in the springtime to see a Christmas movie. Like when we're supposed to be done with Christmas and they're releasing it in Christmas. I don't know. That just felt very off to me. I guess, what were your thoughts on that?
The whole movie was off to me altogether, 100%.
But what do you think about the Christmas elements of the movie? It wasn't really that there, to be honest. It's like all the flashbacks conveniently took place during Christmas time, like the villain's flashback, Billy's flashback, the main plot of the movie. It's interesting how all three of these different events just all happen to take place during the holidays. And it might have been fun. It might have been fun if they kind of incorporated some of the Christmas elements more since they were there, but it just, to me, it felt so awkward that you had all these Christmas decorations in the background, yet do they even say the word Christmas? They play some Christmas music. I heard, do you hear what I hear? But did they even say Merry Christmas once?
You could have took the Christmas element. You could have took the Christmas element out of this whole film altogether, and it wouldn't have changed anything. It didn't even. It was a plot device at best.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe that the original intent for this thing that we're calling a movie was for it to be a Christmas movie. I think that's one of the reasons why it was there. Those scenes in the movie exist for the backdrop. But again, it kind of reminded me of, and this may seem a little bit funny, but try to follow me on this one. It kind of reminds me of Wonder Woman 1984 a little bit, in that it was Wonder Woman 84 was supposed to take place in the 80s, but there was no 80s music or anything in the movie to really indicate any kind of 80s aesthetic outside of the promotional material. And with Shazam, it just kind of feels like, with Shazam, it just kind of feels the same, where the Shazam has an identity crisis. It doesn't know where it fits. It doesn't know what time of year it is. It doesn't know Zachery Levi obviously doesn't know which way is up when it comes to playing a character. I mean, you don't have a mature actor like Asher Angel playing, isn't that his name? Asher Angel playing Billy Batson, and then have Asher Angel be more mature and be more Shazam like than the actual lead Shazam or Captain Marvel or whatever you want to call him. Obviously, he's not referred to as Captain Marvel in the movie for obvious reasons. Again, I believe it was Qatar or Sin Havoc who pointed out that it's a Jeff Johns residual kind of a thing where they were using his run. So it doesn't surprise me, with Jeff Johns being the hack that he is, that the movie would have a seasonal crisis as well, being a Christmas movie in April that we did not need to be subjected to. Like, I agree with Sox 100% that all the Christmas references and Christmas backdrops could have been removed, and you could have placed the movie in the spring with very little adjustments to the production. And I believe that that's what they should have done, since the movie was not getting a Christmas release. And, like you pointed out to me, Bat Dan, in a previous discussion that we had about, it's not a good idea to watch Christmas-themed movies after the holidays are over with. So, yeah.
Exactly. And unlike WB, Bat Dan's Thoughts, the channel, will always cover Christmas content at the correct time. Even if Warner Brothers Discovery, Warner Brothers Picture, Warner Media, whatever regime we're in, does not.
Whatever regime we're in, there's been so many of them, It's ridiculous.
And hopefully the next one will be better. Hopefully Universal, if you're the top buyer to acquire it, hopefully things will improve. But that's a topic for another time. And thank you, Qatar. Yes, smash that like button. Now, I want to talk about this character, and I want to roast this actor a little bit. John Glover, which some of you may know better as Lionel Luthor. He played another bald villain's father, rich CEO, mind you, in this movie. And if you don't know, I'm not a fan of John Glover after he threw needless shade at Man of Steel, because I always have this opinion. It's okay to have your own opinion about things. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you are an actor in a project, throwing shade at other projects that do that same character, that same mythology that you do, to me is just a bad look. So for John Glover to go out of his way to throw shade at Man of Steel, even if he has these opinions in his head, he is an actor in the Smallville role. He has to be more careful about what he says than we fans do. And to him, when he makes a comment like that, it comes off as snotty, self-righteous, biased, and also he criticized the scene where Clark destroys the truck driver's truck in Man of Steel, despite the fact that Clark Kent in the Smallville pilot does the exact same thing with Whitney and two of his friends' cars. So, just saying that there. That's why I'm throwing shade at John Glover in this scene. But, Sox, we'll start with you. What did you think about this guy's character just in Shazam?
He's a bully. He's a straight-up bully, like his other son. He's a bully. And he comes across as a bully, egotistical a-hole, just like his other son. And you can see how he is. I mean, this guy is borderline the type of guy who would smack people around just for even looking at it wrong, because he can't. Because he's got the money, he's got the success, and he feels that he can get over on anybody. And when he gets his comeuppance, I was actually glad he got his comeuppance later on. I couldn't stand the dude.
Now, to be fair, I'm sure part of it was he was supposed to be that way. You were supposed to hate that character, and I will admit it was satisfying to see him get killed. But I don't know. In some ways, I don't know how to explain this. He seemed a little bit too cartoonish at times, like cartoonishly a douchebag. I don't know, how to explain it. But he didn't seem to have a characteristic other than that he's a stereotypical mean father who favors the older brother. But he didn't really have anything special. And granted, he's a small character. Maybe they didn't need to put him that much in depth. But he just seems so generic to me. I guess ZodWriter, what do you think about this guy?
I actually had this thought when I rewatched the movie for this show. Glover is a no talent hack. He's lost his way. The best that we got from him was when he was on Smallville. I think he did a great job, but I felt like in Smallville, he reached his peak as an actor. He never improved. This was the most cornball, ridiculous villain. Wacky and goofy, and Batman and listen, W. Muir, exactly. I'm done with John Glover. Like, that movie was it for me. I was like, man, this guy as an actor, anything he is in, he might as well quit acting and start writing his memoirs because his day is done. That was my thought process while I was suffering my suffrage through this film.
Well said. And it just shows how typecast he really was. The fact that he basically plays a very similar character to the character he played in Smallville. And I loved him in Smallville. I thought he was great. I loved Lionel Luthor's character. I love how, and I'm gonna give John Glover some credit. He did a good job playing a redeemed Lionel Luthor, starring this evil, mean billionaire CEO who saw the light and started becoming a good guy. John Glover played those two Lionel Luthors very well. Again, his last time is Lionel Luthor being possessed by Darkseid, not so much. But in this movie, he just, nothing really special about him. And to be honest, I'm just gonna be honest, and this is gonna sound petty, but it's my channel, so I can do this. The only reason I even brought up this guy's character is because I wanted to roast John Glover, because I think after some of his comments, he needs a little humility. Because again, when you are in the business, throwing shade at other people in the business just is not a good look. I will always be thankful to John Glover for his portrayal as the Riddler in Batman the Animated Series and his portrayal as Lionel Luthor. I think those two roles he did really well, but here, I think he needs to keep his mouth shut and just not at least God, don't remind me of that. And oh yeah, no, I have work tomorrow. If I did that, I would be hungover at work tomorrow, and I don't want that to happen. But thanks for stopping by, Josh.
It's not, Josh. It's not even worth wasting your alcohol on a movie like Shazam. I mean, I was like this. I was like, well, you want to get a little bourbon to put in that hot chocolate while you watch a movie. Not Shazam. Okay. Shazam, I don't even want to. It was hard enough to get through it sober. I mean, imagine, drunk, you wouldn't get through the movie at all. There'd be no way. This movie was abysmal.
But there were some bright spots in this movie. I do want to highlight.
I disagree. There were no bright spots in this movie. This movie wanted there to be bright spots and wanted you to feel for the characters, but I felt nothing.
Now, granted, maybe I'm a little biased here because I found the actress very attractive, and maybe that's why I'm kind of biased here, but
okay.
I did like this Mary, which again, to clarify let me just clarify for those who don't know, this character right here. I guess, Socks, we'll start with you. What'd you think about this character?
I had no problem with Mary Marvel. I knew who that was. I had no problem with her or when she was like it. When she got her abilities at the end of the film and did what she had to do. To me, her acting was a lot better than Zachery Levi Shazam altogether. Hey.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. I guess ZodWriter, what about you?
I to be honest with you, I was indifferent. I didn't care one way or the other. She's a character in a movie I have no stake in whatsoever. So I didn't I didn't care. I didn't care for her any more or less than I cared for, let's say, Brie Larson in the Marvels, if that makes any sense. I really didn't care either way.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I like this character. I think the actress did a really good job portraying kind of that older, wiser sister-like figure and seeing someone kind of growing up.
Maybe they should have given her own movie. I mean, since they're all about gender swapping and swapping this, swapping that, maybe they should have gender swapped Shazam, and then you could have had a Mary Marvel versus Brie Larson showdown, and you could see who could make the meanest face, and then maybe you could determine who's the better Captain Marvel. I don't know.
Oh, Mary would have been a better
all I'm
Captain
saying
Marvel.
is that Mary is miles better than Brie Larson, even though I don't care anything for the way she portrayed the character because I wasn't invested. That's,
And that's fair. I mean, sometimes when a movie's bad, you could have a good character in the movie and you just don't care as much about her because if the movie's not good itself, it's hard to really pick out some of these bright spots. I do think a movie about Miss Mary Marvel would have been a lot better than a movie about Zachery Levi Shazam. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But you don't see her a lot too. That's also part of it too. She's not in it that
much. That was probably a good thing for her. I mean, why do you want to be seen in a movie this trashy?
Yeah, fair enough. And now this character, I don't have too much interesting things to say about her. I thought she was cute. I think with a better cast around her, I think the character would have been a lot better. But I think the problem is, so this is like the hyper older sister, the hyper foster sister, the one who wanted to hug everyone, the one who wanted to talk all the time. And I didn't have an issue with that idea. It's like, kids, there are hyper kids like that in the world. There are kids who would grow up in the system who are always happy to meet new friends. I did like that, but around just her herself was great. But again, you don't see her a lot. She doesn't do enough. And without the rest of the cast, just not as interesting.
What she needed was somebody to hug her and to explain to her why she shouldn't have been in this movie in the first place. She could have saved herself the trouble and maybe been in some Nickelodeon thing or something, and that might have been a little bit better for her rather than stinking it up in this movie, because I feel like there might be some talented actors and actresses and children in this movie, but unfortunately, none of that is on display because the story is so hollow that there's really not a whole lot for you to gravitate towards. And I like how you're pointing out, I'm noticing a common theme when you bring up all these characters. Well, there was not enough for this person to do. This person really didn't do much. It's just, that's the problem. I mean, there's nothing for them. And W. Mir is asking me, Shazam 1 or Fury of the Gods? I'm going to be honest completely. They were equally horrible. Equally. I hated the first one and I hated the second one. And I didn't care one iota for any. In fact, I'll go one step further. The second movie made me appreciate the mediocrity of the first one a little bit more. So I guess I would say, Mir, that the edge kind of slightly goes to the first one just because the second one has no business existing. In fact, the first one probably shouldn't have been made either, but we can't help it. We don't have any control over this stuff,
That we don't. Sox, do you have anything to say about this character?
I was thinking about what Mikey told us a long time ago. Rest in peace, Mikey, when he said the Marvel family didn't need to be introduced in this film. What were they there for? They should have been introduced in the second film. Why were they in the first one? They didn't really serve a purpose right away. They could have delayed it to the second film, to the sequel. They ruined it by bringing in the first film. It should have been focused on.
We actually have a topic for that.
You know what? Team her up with Kamala Khan, and you could have a cute little kids movie.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a better movie than this one. I'll say that.
I mean, just the two of them together in a film, like, you know, sisterhood. The two of them, like, just fighting criminals wearing their superhero suits or whatever. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, you know, I feel like it's a disservice to put all these talented people in crappy movies like this. It doesn't help your career by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
Darla deserved better. That's the bottom line.
Yep, well said.
That's the hashtag. Darla deserved better.
Yeah, we all did, really. I mean,
now there is one kid I did like in this movie, and maybe that's because he's the only one who actually calls Shazam out on his bullshit.
I got so many issues with Freddy. Oh my God. Listen, I know that right now we are talking about the first Shazam movie, but one of the biggest issues I got with Freddy is how this character literally has no character evolution, no character arc from the first to the second movie. Hashtag Freddy sucks. Okay, listen, he has everything that happened to him in the first movie. Imagine how crappy of a character you have to be if everything that happens to you in the first movie continues to happen to you throughout the second movie. And I know that's not necessarily on the actor, it's the bad writing or whatever, but still, hashtag Freddy sucks. Okay.
Yes, I haven't seen the second movie, so I can't comment on that one. I guess I liked him in the first movie just because he was the only one who would actually call Shazam on his bullshit. Shazam would do bullshit things, and Freddy would actually call him out on that.
Shazam should have been canceled at the inception of the idea of actually making the movie. I mean, forget calling him out in the film. Like, just cancel it all together. I mean, if they wanted a tax write-off, Shazam has tax write-off written all over it. And I'm wondering why Shazam Fury of the Gods got made. I'm sitting here still wondering if after that steaming pile of donkey doo-doo came out, how that gets a sequel, but WBD doesn't want to continue with the Snyderverse. Can somebody please explain to me how you do a sequel to a movie that is not well received, is mid at best, and to be quite frank, almost everybody sucks in it. Freddy being chief among them. Hashtag Freddy sucks.
Show friends, not show business.
Hashtag Freddy sucks.
I guess, Sox, what's your opinion about Freddy in this movie?
Zod beat me to it, man. Freddy sucks.
Oh, God, man. Seriously, please.
I'm sorry.
Freddy,
I have no sympathy for character.
Just go away, Freddy. Please. You disappear. Like there's nothing for you here. Honestly, I wouldn't want to be in that universe period. Oh my God. What a
Yep. I wouldn't either.
What a waste.
Billy's foster parents. The actors did a good job. I like the idea of what they were going for, but you don't see them enough.
If I want to see foster parents, I'll watch Annie. Okay. This movie, whatever.
What about you, Sox? Do you have anything to say about them?
They seemed like they were just, not in tune with what was going on around them to the third act of the film. It's like we don't want to know what's going on until we have to know what's going on. It's like, yeah, that's how problems start.
Morons, basically. Yeah.
There's this scene in Young Justice that I really like where Billy had a good. It was his uncle who was his adoptive dad, where basically his uncle was very supportive of him as Shazam. You don't see him a lot in the movie, but little things is like, or I guess Captain Marvel. He was called Captain Marvel in that series, but he comes in, he tells his uncle about his day, and his uncle's like, "Aren't you forgetting something?" And he goes, "Shazam," and he turns back to Billy Batson, and just little things like "Love you, son." And then later on the news, in another episode, when the parent gives that affectionate head pat where they rub their hair, he was doing that when you were talking about Captain Marvel on the news. And it's like little things like that showed in that little bit. You see a guardian who's in tune and supportive of his foster child. And in Shazam, you can tell that they do love their foster kids. I do give them credit for that, but you're right. How clueless they are.
This movie should have had a warning label before it. It should have had a warning label that says you will lose brain cells if you consume this movie in its entirety. And if it would have had that warning at the beginning, I would have respected it more.
Yeah, I agree.
You.
And I have a feeling this next topic's going to take like 10 seconds. Rest of the Foster family, they're okay. I think there's only like 2 of them that are there. That's left. Just 2 brothers. Do you guys have anything to say about that? Or should we just move on?
I hate to say this. Move on. Just move on, please.
Oh, no. I want to hear what you say now. Okay, we'll move on.
Move on.
Okay.
Okay. This guy, you know how we always criticize the MCU villains for being generic and nothing really special about them?
This makes the Zero guy in the MCU look like Darkseid. This guy right here. Okay, you're talking about a villain. You want to talk about a cheesy, crappy buffoon of a villain? That's this guy right here. Nothing about him was believable. Not one bit of it.
Nope. Socks, what about you?
Hamming it up.
I kept waiting for this guy to turn around and say that he wanted to sell me some life insurance, man. I mean, this guy was like a used car salesman at best to me. He was like a politician. Yeah, seriously. I mean, it was like, dude, I'm not buying what you're selling. That's it. Goodbye.
They were like, hey, Mark, do you wanna have a role in this crappy Shazam movie? Sure. How much are you paying me? Here's a blank check. Put the amount in that you would like, and then just ham it up and have fun. Guys, that's exactly what happened. And that's why he put nothing into it. He was hamming it up the whole time. I don't think he was miscast. I just think he was bored. He had lunch planned. He had a dinner date. He had something he had to go to, and he just wanted to get the hell out of there.
I want to address what Katara and WME are saying. So, if you notice that in the first Shazam movie, and yes, I do think The Rock wanted to appear in his own movie, but I do think that there was plans. The Rock did. I do think he wanted to at some point connect to Shazam, because if you notice in the first Shazam movie, $7 is involved in the production of that movie, but they're not involved in the production of the sequel. My guess is that The Rock saw Shazam, how it turned out, and again, I'm speculating here. Don't take what I'm saying as fact. I'm guessing when The Rock saw how the first Shazam did, that he's like, fuck that. I'm getting as far away from Shazam.
You're a lot more right, Bat Dan, than you are wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're a lot more right. Let me use a Rock term here. When The Rock saw what a literal jabroni or jobber in the wrestling world is, of Zachery Levi is, okay, when he saw that, how Zachery Levi did not take the character seriously at all and played him like a 4-year-old, he was like, you know what? If we ever do anything with Shazam in the future, there'll have to be a recast, there'll have to be some major changes. That's the reality. That's what we're looking at. It has nothing to do with The Rock not wanting to be a part of Shazam. It has to do with The Rock not agreeing with the way that the character of Shazam was portrayed.
Wow. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it looks like we lost Socks for a minute. I'm sure he'll come back soon. But, oh, really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And now let's see, moving on here. Actually, while we wait for Socks, let's move some stuff around. Let's talk about this topic right here. So we'll talk about SnyderVerse and Netflix later on. That topic's definitely going to come up. But let's say that we get that, and then Netflix goes to Dwayne Johnson and says, hey, we're going to revive your franchise. Let's revive your franchise now. We got the license from WB. Henry Cavill's on board to do your Versus movie. Let's do it. Who would you want to see as the recast Shazam?
I said a long time ago, before this movie was even announced, I said that John Cena would be a good pick, Qatar. I said John Cena from the very beginning. He was the best guy for this role. He has the facial features. He could even pull it off by being a little bit more, a lot less corny than, say, Zachery Levi. Alan Richardson is a good pick as well.
That's my pick.
I don't think that. I think Alan Richardson would have been good too. I would have no issues with that. But for me, when you have a character that needs to be played a certain way, you can't have this grown man playing Shazam like a 4-year-old kid. And that's that bottom line, that will take you out of the film, especially if you're an actual fan of the Shazam character.
Well said. And that's why I hope Netflix does revive the Black Adam universe, and we do get a Shazam in Black Adam, because those two characters are too connected to not connect. And I think
Sin Havoc is right again. Check that out. What Sin Havoc just posted.
Okay, oh, yeah. Yep. That's interesting. That's really interesting to hear that. So, John Cena, to be honest, if let's say John Cena and James Gunn had some sort of falling out, I would welcome John Cena Shazam with open arms.
I don't know. He disgraced himself, in my eyes, working with Gunn. Because that Peacemaker's god awful. Peacemaker's even worse than this crap.
Between John Cena and The Rock, or or The Rock and Zachery Levi. Yeah, probably, definitely. Also, Peacemaker just sucks as a show too.
Yeah,
So.
and because James Gunn didn't even do it right. Peacemaker's nothing like that in the comic books, so the character sucks. So, as it's portrayed in that show.
Okay, Sox, can you hear us? I think Zachary Levi is messing with Sock's stream.
All right, let's see if we can try this again.
Okay, can you hear us, Sox?
Sorry, guys.
Oh, no problem at all.
Are
So,
you
Sox,
are you back?
In StreamYard. Yeah, StreamYard messed with me. I'm sorry about that, guys.
No problem. That's no problem at all. We understand that's part of the live stream gig sometimes is anything can happen. So I guess Sox, before you get cut off again, let's say what ZodWriter we're talking about, let's say that Netflix revives the Black Adam universe. Who would you want to see as Shazam, as the recast Shazam? So not Zachary Levi.
Better? Better or worse?
We hear you, Sox.
Yeah, we hear you.
All right. StreamYard.
No problem.
Okay.
So who would you want to see
Let's
as...
get back on the show again. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. It's totally okay. We understand internet connection can be very iffy sometimes. So I guess who would you want to see as Shazam instead of Zachary Levi?
Yeah, it's robotic.
Oh, on my end? Okay, Chad, am I sounding like a robot? Let me know.
Not to me.
You sound fine.
Oh, okay.
How about me, though? I sound all right?
No, you sound fine too. You were just cutting out a little bit, but you sound okay.
Yeah, you sound fine.
All right, good. Let's get back on the topic.
Okay, great. So Netflix has the Black Adam universe, hypothetically here. And they're getting a new guy in for Shazam. Who do you want to see go against Dwayne Johnson?
I'd love to see John Cena's Shazam.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Cena. If he needs redemption in the DC universe, we'll say that.
What's up, Brogu? Good to see you, man.
But I'm just saying that if Netflix brought in the Black Adam, provided the Black Adam franchise, they would definitely need to redeem Shazam because the two characters are too connected. So I think ZodWriter I went with Alan Richardson, the guy who plays Hawk in Titans and Aquaman in Smallville. ZodWriter, you were John Cena until he disgraced himself working for Gunn. Then you went to Alan Richardson, or how do you say that guy's name? The Hawk Aquaman actor. And then Sox, you are oh my God, John Cena.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe they could just cast Sean Gunn as Shazam as well, and then just have
Oh God, I might be begging for Zachary Levi if I see that.
I mean, at least we get to see The Rock beat him up. I mean, that
Yeah, through that. That would be very cool to see. I will say that.
That would be very therapeutic, to say the least. But
I will say this: if if they did revive the Black Adam franchise and they brought in a recast Shazam, I'll say this right now. I'm totally fine if they don't recast this character right here, Billy Batson. I'm not going to lie. As many of the characters are kind of forgettable or not great, I love Asher Angel as Billy Batson. I think with the material he got, I think he did a really good job playing who Shazam is supposed to be. And I'm going to say it. He was responsible for one of my favorite scenes in the DCEU. When he meets
Guys,
his
I think my
biological
internet's
mother.
crashing. I can barely hear you. I'm at the sign.
Can you hear me, Zod?
I can.
Sucks. Try going in and coming out again.
I'm hearing you now.
Okay. So what I was saying is that
Okay,
that
one more
scene when
time.
Billy... Okay. That scene when Billy Batson meets... That scene where... I'll just recap when Sox come back. That scene where Billy Batson meets his biological mother, and he has that big emotional scene realizing that his mom is not who he thought she was, or is not who he thought she was, and embracing the family who chose him. I thought that was a very powerful scene that Asher Angel delivered very well in the movie. I think it's one of the few good scenes in this movie where I forgot about Zachery Levi's character. I forgot about a bunch of the goofiness that we see in this movie. I thought it was a really good scene in the DCEU, and I think it's because of Asher Angel's great acting and the great emotion in that scene. It's a scene that, in my opinion, did not belong in the rest of the movie. Like, if I were to watch that scene and that scene alone, I would totally get the tone of Shazam wrong. Asher Angel, I think for the first half hour of this movie, before Zachery Levi was on scene, I thought that it could be a decent movie. Because Asher Angel does a really good job as Billy Batson. He's a kid, he acts like a kid, but he's still not completely goofy. He is actually who Shazam is supposed to be. So
it's almost as if him and Zachery Levi and Asher Angel had like switched roles, like the movie, like Father Like Son, where the kid is the father, the father's the son. That's what it kind of seems like, and the way that the characters were portrayed. It's like there was a role reversal there.
Yeah, exactly. You had the kid act like the adult and the adult act like the kid.
Yeah. And it was complete BS.
And it killed me because I think Asher Angel's a really good actor. I think in this movie, I think he's a really, because I think kid actors are very hit or miss for me. They're either really good or they're really not good. And I think Asher Angel to me was really good in this movie. And I think the part before Zachery Levi appears, I think is a decent film. That first half hour of the movie before it's Zachery Levi. I guess, Sox, are you there right now? Exactly. Levi Shazam doesn't. He's too goofy. It seems like Billy Batson is the one with all the wisdom, not Shazam. I guess, ZodWriter, what are your overall thoughts on Asher Angel? I guess you kind of said some of it. Anything you want to expand on?
I just feel like that kid deserved a better Shazam. He deserved a better performance from Zachery Levi, the elder, and he was robbed. I mean, I can't look at it any other way than he was robbed. He acted his heart out, and then Zachery Levi went in and messed everything up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I hope that if we do get the Black Adam franchise revived on Netflix, I don't want Zachery Levi back, but I really hope to God that they bring Asher Angel back because I think he deserves redemption.
They can't see the thing. The problem is they're going to have to reboot Shazam altogether, and Asher Angel is too old now. You need a kid. You need a kid to play Billy Batson. You need a kid. He's got to be like 8 years old for it to be believable.
Okay, then. Okay, you just give me an idea, ZodWriter. What if for Shazam they get Asher Angel?
Well, yeah. At this point, by the time that goes into production, he'll be old enough. Yeah, for sure.
I think he would like an older Asher Angel. I think would be a phenomenal Shazam.
Yeah, and Sin Havoc is pointing this out again. Yeah, I think that could happen. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And Socks, are you there? Or
yeah, I can hear you all perfectly fine. Can you all hear me all right now?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Good.
So Billy Batson, Asher Angel's Billy Batson. What are your thoughts?
It'd be a lot better than what we saw with Zachery Levi, what he did, because Zachery Levi couldn't act his way out of a paper sack.
Yep. Well said, Socks. Well said. Do you agree? I guess, do you agree with what ZodWriter and I said? If they've rebooted Shazam, could you see an older Asher Angel as Shazam?
Yeah, as long as there's a difference between the kid and who Shazam is. I don't want Shazam being a buffoon, and that's what Zachery Levi played, a buffoon.
You got that right.
Exactly. Should we move on to the big guy?
Yes.
So I want to tell you a funny comment. I want to tell you a funny comment my dad made to me. He told me that Zachery Levi should be Shazam because he doesn't have the wisdom of Solomon.
Agreed.
Zachery Levi doesn't have the wisdom to be allowed to leave his house. I mean, the guy should be on house arrest at this point. Dude, you can't go outside. You're just too stupid. Let's stay indoors. No sharp objects.
No social media.
No social media. Take his phone away. No, you know what? Just sit there and watch Hulu. All right, because we don't want you going anywhere. Your acting days are over. You are a buffoon. And
Also,
all that's going to happen is you're gonna end up getting hurt if you go outside. So just stay in the house. I feel like you got to treat Levi like the 4-year-old that he played in Shazam.
Well, here's the big issue with Shazam in this movie is that he acts like a kid. But the thing is, Billy Batson's a teenager in that movie. He's 14, almost 15.
Right. And let's be honest, who does he look up to in the grand scheme of these things? He looks up to Superman. He looks up to these big heroes. So you would think that when he becomes Shazam and he realizes he has powers like these heroes that he's been idolizing his whole life, he's going to try to emulate them, and he's going to step up with intelligence like the Billy Batson in the actual Shazam comics, the actual source material, not Jeff Johns' blasphemous trash, but the stuff that the story should have been based on to begin with. When I see Zachery Levi hamming it up, acting like he's 4 years old, when you got a mature kid like Asher Angel actually taking the role seriously, you realize that this guy needs. I really worry about Zachery Levi's mental health. I think the man is suffering from some severe issues that's causing him to act the way he did. He should have known better. Why are you going to portray the character that way? I mean, I don't really know. I sometimes wonder, is it David F. Sandberg that told him, act like you're 4 years old? I don't think so. I think this was just Zachery Levi because because he can't act. He doesn't know how to act. He has no acting chops. His acting is as goofy and as wacky as something out of the Gunverse. So really, he should have been a shoo-in for a role in Superman Legacy. I don't know why he didn't get cast as something. Hell, they should have just turned around and cast Zachery Levi as Superman in Superman Legacy, because he has no acting chops. He's a complete buffoon, and every time he opens his mouth, it makes me worry about his mental health. But so that's
Going in the movie, though, here's one of my biggest issues with just the way Shazam's written, not just the way Zachery Levi portrays him, but Shazam is a villain in this movie. A woman, even though he did not intend to scare the woman, he still had no problem spending the money that she gave him out of fear. He spent that money. He robs an ATM. And when I was 14, almost 15, I certainly knew better than to do something like that. He was a thief. He stole money. He was a criminal. He barely gets called out on it, and he suffers no repercussions from doing that.
Nope. None whatsoever.
He also caused that bus accident. Those people in that bus almost fell to their death. That was his fault.
Yeah, exactly. That Zachery Levi did that. And yes, I know he's called out on some of the stuff, but it only goes so far that I can just accept, well, they're called out on it. Because he doesn't redeem himself, really. He doesn't learn his lesson. You don't see anything where he's like, I should have been a better hero. No. Okay, yeah, well, here's the difference with what Cyborg did and what Zachery Levi did. And again, was Cyborg necessarily right for doing that? That's up to debate. But at least his intentions were helping a poor family, not stealing money for himself.
That's true. That's true. It was almost like with Cyborg, it was almost like a Robin Hood kind of thing, where you have stealing from the corporation, stealing from the bank, and giving to the poor that are in need. Whereas you have Zachery Levi just being an asinine 4-year-old and nothing, with no scruples whatsoever. I hate him in this movie so much that it's almost triggering to talk about it, because he's so bad that I can always at least find something redeeming. Like, as much as I don't, and I know I keep going back to the Marvels, but I got to. I feel like this is a relevant comparison. When I think about the Marvels, I can at least look at some redeeming elements. I can look at certain things that I like, certain bright spots, like Monica Rambeau or Kamala Khan, or there were some elements in there. There weren't many, but there were some nice little bright spots in it. Whereas this, you realize that Zachery Levi ruins everything that every time he gets on screen. It just kills any positivity that the movie might have had going for it. Anything good is ruined every time he's on screen. And it didn't help that Mark Strong was also totally hamming it up as a villain. It was almost as like everybody in the movie was dumbing themselves down to Zachery Levi's 4-year-old level, with the exception of Asher Angel. Because even the Shazam kids, the family, even they were acting a little goofy or a little bit ridiculous, but it was more believable for some of them because some of them actually were kind of young. But Zachery Levi, just every scene, like, he just stunk it up every time.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, Sox, do you have anything to add?
No, man, because the more I harp on this travesty of a follow film, the more I'm going to get agitated. And I'm going to get onto another thing altogether because Zachery Levi has what I would call a face made for radio. Okay, he should not be on screen whatsoever. Get him off my TV.
He's a walking human dumpster fire.
And also, before we move on from Zachery Levi completely, I just want to say he made fun of someone for asking about the Snyder Cut, even laughing, mocking him about it, insisting that it didn't exist, only to get proven wrong about that. So maybe going after the Snyder fandom again after you're proven wrong was not a great idea. So just want to throw some shade at him for that too. Now,
oh yeah, another great move by the 4-year-old Zach in a man's body, Zachery Levi.
Now, Shazam family. Soxy brought this up earlier, and I agree. They should not have been introduced in this movie because the problem is now Shazam is like, I mean, not that Shazam was special, but the idea is that they want to make Shazam special. So when you, in the first movie, give him an ensemble cast of people with the exact same powers, what makes Shazam so special? Because he hasn't been Shazam much longer than they have. I mean, at least if they were introduced in the second movie, Shazam has experience, wisdom to kind of be the leader of the family. But in this movie, no, they did not need to be introduced in this movie so quickly. There is no reason for them to all be Shazam right away in the first movie. So I love what you said, Sox. Anything you want to add?
It was just pointless to add them all in that movie because it's like you got 7 characters with all the same power base levels, and nobody's working as a unit. They're all scattered all over the place, and I'm thinking to myself, why are you here, man? You should have all been introduced into the second film and the third act, and not in this, because it's like this is taken away from the, well, let's be real here. The main character was a buffoon, and less time out seeing that buffoon on my TV was even better, but still, it's annoying.
Exactly. And ZodWriter, anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. Well, we got one more topic before we wrap up our Shazam talk. The SnyderVerse connections. The Headless Superman. And actually, you know what, ZodWriter? This is going to sound kind of random, but I'll see why we're bringing this up. You said something on your I Don't Get It about how Zack Snyder's trilogy is separate from the DCEU. And so can you kind of briefly explain that and explain the one movie that actually is connected to both those universes?
Yes, the one movie that is connected to both the DCEU and the Zack Snyder Justice League trilogy is Man of Steel. That is the only movie that connects to both. Now, you could argue BVS, the theatrical cut, but I don't really know because the DCEU has gone so far as to move so far away from that. It's hard to imagine that that's included in canon, but they do include the theatrical cut of BVS. But Superman, Man of Steel is the only movie that really connects to both. And I think the main reason for that is because that was the movie that was supposed to launch, the DCEU from the beginning. But you wanted to know about, the connections to Shazam?
Yeah, exactly, because there's a point with that I want to bring up. People say that it's connected to the SnyderVerse because they show newspaper clippings from Man of Steel. But the point is, if the only SnyderVerse connection is Man of Steel, you can't say it's connected to the SnyderVerse because Man of Steel is also part of the DCU. Though, think of it like this. The way I'll kind of explain it. It's a multiverse, and the events of Man of Steel just happened in both of these universes.
That's a very, very great way of describing it. Very simplistic and right to the point. Because DC is a multiverse, you can look at that and say, yeah, those events happened. And then the theatrical cut events of BVS occurred in the DCEU. So in a way, it's kind of like the DCEU. Yeah, it does. All of that fits, because think about the theatrical cut of Justice League. Think about that. Think about how that all ties. You know, you got the theatrical cut of BVS. The only pure Snyder movie in the DCEU is Man of Steel. So if the events, and we know that the Man of Steel events happen in Shazam because they have magazines and paraphernalia that reference the Black Zero event. They have, things in the movie where they kind of reference to show that those happened. And of course, the Flash movie, yeah, that's a good point, because it's a multiversal movie. So you can have elements from the SnyderVerse while still having it be a DCEU movie, because it's multiverse. So it can cover, a wide range. But I still don't think that it really, I think it's more I think Flash is more multiverse than SnyderVerse. I kind of feel like I kind of see Flash as being more of like a Man of Steel type scenario where some of the events happened, but Flash is still kind of its own thing. So some of the events from Zack Snyder's Justice League also occurred in the Flash timeline that we see, but it's still its own continuity. It kind of feels that way to me.
Yeah, and I guess because, when they reference the Snyder Cut, it's when Barry's in his home universe before any of that multiverse travel happens.
Right.
So that's a bit of a mystery, and I don't want to get too far off topic with that, but my point with Shazam is the reason I wanted you to bring that up is because people say that Shazam is connected to the Snyderverse because of the Man of Steel references. But because Man of Steel happens in both of these movies, I can't say that movie's Snyderverse for that reason if the only connection is Man of Steel. Because at the time when the Shazam came out, the Snyder Cut wasn't a thing yet. It was a pipe dream to a lot of people. Justice League was the film that came out. And I do give David Sandberg credit for trying to connect to Snyder's films. David Sandberg did a good job with what he could. But at the end of the day, that film does not really feel Snyderverse because the events of the DCEU, Man of Steel, happen, but that's kind of it. I mean, you see, the Man of Steel costume on people's shirts. So, Man of Steel is definitely canon to that movie, and the Headless Superman cameo. That definitely kind of somewhat looked like the Man of Steel suit, but my God, that Man of Steel cameo. Sox, you haven't said anything yet this topic. What's your thoughts on the Headless Superman cameo?
That was a blatant disrespect to Cavill, man. I'm sorry. I found that as an insult to Cavill, an insult to Man of Steel, an insult to Snyderverse, an insult to Zack Snyder. I'm sorry. That was a blatant insult all across the board. I hated it because either you show all of them or none of them.
Yeah, they obviously used a stunt double for that scene because they didn't have Cavill, and I feel like it was just a waste. They didn't even need to. They didn't need to do that. They didn't even need to have him on there. They could have had it. They could have had the cameo take place off screen. What they should have done is played the Superman music, the Donner music, because that's what they want. So they play the Donner music, and they just have Shazam looking over at him, implying that Superman is there, not showing a half. From the neck down. I don't get it. I'm out.
I do want to actually explain this one a little bit. Was that essentially, from my understanding, what it was is Henry Cavill had a contract to be in 4 movies, and they were trying to get Henry Cavill to do the Shazam cameo as a way to get him out of his contract. That was my understanding about what that was. I could be completely wrong. So they did try to get Henry Cavill, but they weren't able to do it. But if they weren't able to do it, just don't I agree with ZodWriter. Just maybe say, oh, there's Superman. Something, the Richard Donner music, since they want to go that route. But
I mean, they might as well have gotten David Corn Sweat to come in and do that cameo, because I mean, he probably would have did it.
Yeah, exactly. He would have done it, and so, but yeah, apparently it was Zachery Levi's stunt double who did Superman in that movie, the headless cameo. But it was just disrespectful. Would have been cool if they could have done it and gotten Henry Cavill. Yeah, I mean, not a great movie, but still would have been cool to see Henry Cavill. But yeah, that just was not needed. And I appreciate what Sandberg was trying to do, because I don't have any ill will towards Sandberg. Even though he's the director of both these movies, I have a feeling that a lot of the issues come from more studio interference than Sandberg's directorial choices. But I think he wanted to be in the Snyderverse. I think he definitely wanted to be part of Zack's.
I think the creatives are not. I don't think you can blame the creatives as much in this situation, especially because we know how Warner Brothers likes to meddle with everything. So there really is no rhyme or reason as to why they do certain things. The only thing I will say is that, again, they missed the boat completely when they miscast Shazam, and they allow Zachery Levi to run around like a 4-year-old. That doesn't instill goodwill into an audience. And whether you're trying to connect a movie to Man of Steel or the Snyderverse or whatever you're doing, I personally would prefer all those references be cut out. I would have preferred for Shazam to be its own thing, in its own timeline, its own like side story or pocket universe. It doesn't have to reference Man of Steel. It doesn't have to reference any of the previous stuff. It's perfectly fine, because it's really a self-contained story anyway, about a 4-year-old in a grown man's body who thinks he's a superhero. That's all it's about. So, yeah.
And, I think at the time they kind of had to do that, because when it was in production, it was still kind of when they were trying to go for that connected universe. Obviously, it didn't work out, but that's why. But yeah, I agree. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with saying a story works better as its own separate entity. Black Adam. I want to see that franchise restored, but I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of rather it exist as its own separate entity than connected to the Snyderverse. I'd rather that Henry Cavill just be playing a Superman variant as opposed to the Snyderverse Superman. Because I like the story. I think there's a lot of great stuff in it. But I think connected to the Snyderverse doesn't quite fit. But that's okay. That doesn't make it bad. That just makes it separate. That's all. So Shazam being that isn't necessarily a bad thing. But the problem is it kind of wanted to be that, but it wasn't. And I hate that. Like Sox, we've talked about this before in Marvelous Discussions with the whole Netflix shows, when they try to connect to the MCU, but they vaguely do it, so they might as well just not connect. That's how Shazam should have been. That's kind of how Shazam was. I guess, what do you say to that, Sox?
I would agree with that, especially in this situation, because this was a black eye towards Snyderverse in so many ways, man. I mean, at least with the MCU shows on Netflix, they were doing something. They were building upon what was already there, in their own little way. I mean, especially with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Daredevil. At least those shows were solid. This is not a solid film. This movie fails all across the board in every sense of the word, man. There's nothing redeemable about the Shazam movie. I'm sorry. Even as a Marvel guy, I see this travesty of Shazam. This guy's an embarrassment. This is not Captain Marvel. I think when I see Captain Marvel, or Shazam, I should say, he's supposed to, he radiates with respect. You see this guy can go toe-to-toe with Superman on any day of the week, okay? They made this guy out like he's nothing more than a fucking joke. My God, he's worse than fucking Deadpool. I mean, the guy, I literally want to take him, bend him over my knee, and spank him. Hey, you're such a baby. Do you want a bottle and a diaper and a nap time? Go ahead.
reason I transitioned right here is because you seem to kind of already been on it, Socks. So I guess you've kind of said your final thoughts right there. What would you rate this movie?
I got one more thing I gotta say. My wrap up, because I thought about this for the last 2 days. This movie, the final credits scenes of this Shazam film that came out in 2019, ripped off, and I do mean this clearly, it literally ripped off Spider-Man Homecoming. The same ending credits. The cartoon strip, the comic strip at the end of the film is the same blatant ripoff of Spider-Man Homecoming. It's the same thing. And I'm sorry, I'm calling you out. It's bullshit. You ripped off Spider-Man. And guess what? Homecoming was 1,000 times better than this crap.
Well said. And see, this is why it's, I should have a Marvel guy on the DC show more often, because that was a really good point. That was a really great perspective right there. So what do you rate this, Socks?
0.
Oh, okay. ZodWriter, what about you? Final thoughts for the Shazam movie and rating?
0.
Okay. I guess for me, my final thoughts are, because I do like the scenes with Asher Angel. I do like some of the stuff they were trying to go for, but at the end of the day, the execution of the movie just didn't quite live up to it. So there are a few scenes in the movie I do like, so I'm going to give it a 5.192648 out of 10. Just could have been a lot better. I think, it's one of those movies that I liked when I first saw it, but the more I see it, it just gets worse and worse. And talking about it with you guys, just was not good. Just was not good. And actually, I hope he is, because let's move on to something positive now. So I was not going to talk about this on this show. This was going to be a purely Shazam review topic, but some news broke this morning, and given what this channel centers around, we had to talk about it. Zack Snyder is interested. There is a video that came out. It's on Twitter. It's what's the name of that article, that company that interviewed Zack Snyder? Some Spanish company, I think.
Yeah, it was the Hollywood Reporter.
Oh, it was the Hollywood Reporter.
No. Hollywood Reporter was the first one to review them, and then the Spanish one is the one that gave us all the good information.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So basically, if you don't know, Zack Snyder himself said that Netflix got the rights to his DC, that he absolutely would do it. This is Zack Snyder is on video saying this, is that Zack Snyder is on board to do this. And here's the thing with that Hollywood Reporter article where Zack said he wasn't interested. It never quoted him saying that. It quoted Zack saying he'd work with Ezra Miller again, or that he supported Ezra Miller. It quoted Zack saying that he'd work with Amber Heard again. Right or wrong about that, not getting into that, but Zack did say that, so I can take Zack's word on that. But with him being done, Hollywood Reporter, it did not quote Zack Snyder. Whereas now on video, Zack Snyder said he is interested. And we knew this. We all knew this. Skywalker the Jedi at Full Circle asked him at Full Circle. And Zack Snyder answered that he is interested. Ben Affleck went out of his way to answer. But here, again, on video, more recently, you have Zack Snyder saying it again, meaning that Zack Snyder is interested in continuing, and I think it's just really exciting news. Sox, what are your thoughts on this?
I hope it happens, man. Zack deserves to finish his story. The fans want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see what he can do. He was robbed. Let's be real. He was robbed of what he wanted to finish with Justice League 2, Justice League 3, Ben Affleck's Batman, Man of Steel 2, Man of Steel 3. I mean, you could have had... This is where the money is. I've been saying it for the longest possible time. Even from a Marvel guy, and I'm saying this, SnyderVerse is where the money is. It has its issues. I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat everything. It has its issues. But I know that this thing should have been pushed to the top of Warner Brothers Discovery as their main DCU franchise. And they butchered it, and they screwed this guy over. They screwed over Cavill more than once, which is a travesty all on itself. And now that this guy is being praised and loved and respected over at Netflix because they're throwing money at him like it's water, and they should because he's a fabulous director. Let him have his vision. Let him do what he wants to do. Let him tell his story. Trust me, money is on the table. You're gonna take away money off the table because you got a hard on against this guy? Screw you. Zack Snyder knows what he's doing, and he needs to have his time in the sun.
That sucks. Well said. And even if we disagree on some things with this, you agree with the important thing is that Zack Snyder deserves to have his story completed, and that's what's really important. That we're not and this is what people need to remember. Us Snyder fans, we're not asking for Zack Snyder to take over DC. We want a proper conclusion to the story that we love. And yes, thank you, Sin Havoc / Zack Snyder. I appreciate that, and thank you, Guitar, as well. And in the replay crew, I'll make sure that article's in the chat or in the description. But that's all we're asking for is a conclusion to the story we love. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. And yes, we're hoping for some spin-offs, sure, like the Air Cut, the Batfleck movie, Man of Steel 2, because Henry Cavill deserves it. But the main focus is CSJL 2 and 3. And just asking for that story to be concluded is not unreasonable. Then we'll leave us alone. So, and then we'll leave you alone. That's it. We're not calling for, and yes, should we ask for everything and see what Netflix gives us? Yeah, but the main focus is the conclusion for Zack Snyder's story. And now Zack Snyder himself, on video again, has said that he's interesting. And yes, there are a lot of people, a lot of clout chasers out there who said that, who are trying to rub it in that Zack wasn't interesting. I see people who claim to be Zack Snyder fans trying to brag that, oh, Zack's done. See, I told you, you lying scooper. I'm like, you're happy about that? You claim to be a Zack Snyder fan. You're happy about that? No. But guess what? Zack was not quoted in The Hollywood Reporter, but Zack was quoted here on video saying this. Zack Snyder has shown his interest in returning, and it's a wonderful thing. ZodWriter. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like this is the day of all days. This what we got today was definitive. It ends any speculation, any conjecture, anything from article writers who just want to, throw their slanted agendas out there. This was from the mouth of the man himself. Okay. So to me, the way people are on social media trying to spin it and trying to make it seem like now they're saying, oh, Zack is a liar because they're using the Hollywood Reporter article with all the conjecture from Boris Kitt as a measuring stick to say, oh, well, 2 weeks ago Zack said this, now he's saying this. No, you morons. The Hollywood Reporter article never quoted Zack with anything with regards to finishing the SnyderVerse. He was making his own conclusions and implying that Zack was done based on what he wanted to promote, not what Zack actually said, because there are no quotes. But now, because you have an actual quote, because you have something that's 100% legitimate straight from the horse's mouth, you can't say that now. So now they're doing all the mental gymnastics, trying to move stuff around again, trying to make it, and then there's all these, social media. These people really, I don't know what it is that makes them, it's like they don't, you know what it is? I don't even think that it's that they hate Zack Snyder at this point. I think what it is they hate Zack's fan base. So they don't want Zack's fan base to get any kind of a win. They don't want Zack's fan base to be right about anything because we got the Snyder Cut. We're a fan base that actually got something done. And all these other people are jealous about that. They're jealous about that. They're bitter about that, especially all these vloggers and scoopers and people who were saying for years that the Snyder Cut would never get released. These are the same people promoting these ideas now that Zack is done. Zack isn't coming back. He's finished. And now they've got egg on their face again because Zack has come out and literally said that he would finish it if Netflix acquired the rights, which as we've pointed out several times already, that's very possible, and Netflix is interested. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a strike across the board for the fans, for Zack Snyder, and Netflix. All we have to do now is keep pushing for it like we've been doing and wait and see what happens. It's inevitable,
Exactly.
like Integrity says.
Exactly. Scott Stuber, head of Netflix Films, has said the more Zack, the better, is that they would absolutely do it if they had the rights to finish this. And it's just, and people want to go after the Snyder fandom, and that drives me so insane. It's like, look, there are extremists in the Snyder fandom, even I'm not a fan of. I'm not going to lie, but that's every fandom. But what about the anti-fandom? What about the fandom that has joked about a personal tragedy in Zack Snyder's life? Why is it okay for those fans to be rewarded by not getting SnyderVerse content? Why do they get free passes? That's my biggest issue right here. It's the hypocrisy. Star Wars fans, my God, there are so many toxic Star Wars fans, Marvel fans. I mean, even Sox will admit this. There are some toxic Marvel fans too. But you don't see me saying, "Hey, Sox, fuck you, man. You're not welcome on this channel, you toxic MCU stan." No, I would never do that because I don't judge Sox for the extremist MCU.
You should do that. That would be entertaining. That would actually, that would be funny. I'd like to see it. Can we make that happen?
Yeah, Captain America versus Batman. There we go. There's your fight. We'll go with that one.
Oh no, Sox, I would not do that to you, but I won't do that.
Let's make it happen, guys. We need that drama, right?
I'm too old for that drama.
Fair enough. It's just, and I try not to get into this too much on my channel because I really like my channel to be more positive, more upbeat. But it's just because they've been going after some of my friends here. They've been going after some of my friends. They've gone after Sil Abdul Skywalker, friends of ours, and I've seen some of them. We're all friends with Mikey Sutton. I've seen some of them use Mikey Sutton's name in vain after he died. I've seen that. So that's why I'm kind of calling it out more. And that's disgusting. If you think that you are a good person doing that, no. You do not get to complain about toxic fandom if you're doing that. We're not, and here's the thing about this campaign. We're not, before the Cell campaign, you know what the campaign was? For James Gunn to lose his job, for Peter Safran to lose his job, for people to lose their jobs. What's great about this campaign is that it has nothing to do with James Gunn and Peter Safran. They can do whatever they want. And if and when they fail, it's because they did a bad project, not because we're still bitter about the SnyderVerse. As Skywalker said in that interview with comicbookmovie.com or comicbook.com, I get those two mixed up. But it's so the movies can be judged on its own merits.
Yeah.
So this should, and I could go on a rant about this all day, and I don't want to go too far into the negativity of this because that's not really what I want my channel to be. I'm not going to lie. I don't like getting there, but on occasion it's going to slip out, especially if you go after my friends, especially if you go after my dead friends. I will speak out about that because there's a certain line. I'm saying. Yeah. Oh, go on, Sox.
I'm saying this because I'm right there with you back then. I know Zod feels the same way as I do. Don't use Mikey's name as a negative around me because I'll fucking lose my cool in about 3 seconds flat. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Exactly. Respect me and I will respect you. Don't respect me and I won't respect you. We're not going into your mentions. You don't need to come to ours. We're just trying to talk about stuff we love. If someone's a fan of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, I'm not going to go in your chat saying The Suicide Squad sucks. Sell Gunverse to OnlyFans. I joke about that in the Snyder-centric chats, sure, but I'm not going to go into other topics. And yeah, I did see Godzilla -1. I thought it was pretty good. I did not like that I had to read the whole time. I wish they hired English voice actors to dub over for the American version, but that's also because I'm lazy. So, but I want to kind of just end on a positive here is that regardless, at the end of the day, there's a chance for the Snyder fandom to see the conclusion to the story we love. And this is really exciting stuff. There's a lot of great stuff. And what we need to do is we need to promote Rebel Moon. When Netflix sees the success that is, that's going to hype them up even more to show the demand for Zack Snyder. When that becomes an event film, that's what we need to happen. Warner Brothers Discovery is broke. Netflix is interested. Zack Snyder is interested. All the pieces are in place now for the proper conclusion to the story that we love. Ben Affleck said that he's interested when Skywalker asked at Full Circle. Well, when he asked Zack Snyder, but Ben Affleck decided to interject because he wanted to give his answer. There's a lot of great stuff coming up right now. So, any final thoughts on this, guys?
No,
I think it's great. I just think it's great, and I think we should all be excited.
Yes, support Rebel Moon. I'm seeing it early next week on the 19th. So I'm excited for that, and I'll try to get my review up. So guess coming up, guys, what do you have coming up? We'll start with you, Socks.
I might do a Sounds Bulletins video tomorrow. I've been thinking about doing it for like the last 2 days. It's going to be something because I rewatched Oppenheimer again. I love that movie. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Watch that movie. It's really good, based on real factual history. And I'm going to touch upon the subject of how it would be to be what led into nuclear war. I'm going to touch upon history about that situation, about the day after tomorrow, a TV movie made of the week that came out on NBC back in 1983, which was terrible. I'm going to touch upon these subjects. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want people to think, man, if you think living after a post-nuclear war is something that you'd be all right with, you better learn your history real quick because, yeah, it's a scary vision what could happen. And, yeah, I'll talk about more about tomorrow.
Sounds good. Can't wait. And you, ZodWriter?
Coming up on the 23rd of December, you'll have APAS and I doing I keep saying watch party because everybody's always doing watch parties now, but no, we'll be doing our open panel discussion on Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. So I'm looking forward to that.
I can't wait. I'll be traveling for Christmas, but I'll definitely catch that on replay. And I guess ZodWriter, since you brought this up since I interviewed about this book, I guess, and you talked about this on Twitter a little bit, anything you want to say about Pause Not Stopped on here?
Well, sure. Yeah, it's being worked out behind the scenes. I'll have more information after the new year. I'm trying to get everything, getting some things ironed out so that the book can get back on track, so that it can be published and released. So hopefully some good news will be forthcoming. So stay tuned.
Can't wait. I can't wait for that. I think that's going to be a great book when it comes out, or whatever format it comes in. I cannot wait for that. And I guess coming up on my channel, we'll do more crime at Christmas time. The idea, we'll see again, this time of year is busy for me, but the idea is that I'm going to remaster 4 more of my videos from last year, old videos, because I didn't edit videos last year, so I always remaster the old ones so that you see the pictures, you see the cuts where I stutter or say like or anything like that, as well as 2 new videos where I review Merry Little Batman on Amazon. That's on Amazon Prime, and review the main one, a watch party that ZodWriter and I did Sunday. So, and then I will be seeing Rebel Moon early in theaters on the 19th, and I will be getting I don't care what it takes. I'm getting that review up for Rebel Moon on the 20th. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be a spoiler-free review. So be on the lookout for that. So lots of great stuff coming up, people. And if you guys, please subscribe to Socks, subscribe to ZodWriter, and if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more unique takes, interesting thoughts, and great discussions. And if you want to see me troll Socks more, you want to see more of that banter, please subscribe with the singing that I do for him because he loves the musicals. And any final words?
Ta-ta for now.
Have a bat-tastic day, a bat-tastic Christmas season.